and shit.
You would love it, man. It's really good.
What what's the I wonder what started it. Like what was that starting thing to create the movie industry? I never learned that. Does anybody got the answer to that one? Like what
Why did
that
they start the movie industry?
mm-hmm.
Man, we talked about this before, I feel like. But when? We talked about uh I think it was when we were talking about Birth of the Nation or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that was supposed to be like the first like film,
Oh right,
it,
right.
but it was like made for propaganda, I believe. Like there was like a propaganda behind it. Um,
Ah.
Edison. I think
exactly
it's
what it was.
Edison. I think Edison was the one. Let's look it up.
Yeah, that's right. He was killing elephants.
The
Right.
early, the earliest surviving motion picture film showing actual consecutive action is called Roundhay Garden Scene. It's a short film directed by French inventor Louis Le Prince. While it's just 2 seconds long, it's technically a movie. That's the first movie.
Mm.
What? Two
Yeah,
seconds?
2 seconds.
Wow.
It's just called running around the hay. So it's
Wait.
literally somebody just running
Running
around the
around.
hay.
Oh wait, there's technically one before it. The groundbreaking motion photography. It's running around. I know that's the shit they were making back then.
It was like the first movie was jumping around the hay. Second one was running around.
And then like the arrival of a train, 1895. This is a 50-second film that's showing it. It's just showing a train pulling up. Those were the first few films, and then I guess people just started, experimenting with like, yeah, that's so
Wow.
curious. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, back then, think having never seen a movie or not
Right.
even know it's possible. And then
Right.
suddenly you're looking at like a train pull up that's being projected on a wall.
Mm.
On the screen. Yeah.
That would
That's
have melted brains.
that's pretty interesting.
But what were they projecting before that? What made them think put these two mirrors toward each other and let light emit an image through it?
I don't know. That's
Mm.
so brilliant. They were probably using those. What are those things called? They were probably using animation first, right? They must have done that first, right?
Animation before actual moving pictures? Nah.
Well,
Unless we're talking about drawings on the wall or
Well,
something like that.
right. Right.
I mean, they had those spinning things, whatever those things are called. You take like a light, and then you take. They have them that is you could. I don't know what. I wish I understood this shit, but they had like if you take a light, and you take. It's a type of lamp where you could spin it and gives the impression of like animation. Or if you take cards and flip cards, it gives the impression of movement. But yeah, you're right. That's not a film.
Spinning.
Okay, here we go. I'm on Wikipedia. It says precursors, shadowography, probably used since prehistoric times. So that's, making the dog on the wall. Camera obscura, a natural phenomena that's possibly been used as an artistic aid since prehistoric times. Shadow puppetry. Then magic lantern. That's what I was talking about. Then stroboscopic persistence of vision animation devices. The zoetrope, the flip book, the phenocoscope. And then early photographic sequences known as chronophotography can be regarded as early motion picture recordings that could not yet be presented as moving pictures. So this is maybe like flip books or something. And then, this is wild. Silent era. It is estimated that 80 to 90% of all silent films are lost.
Oh. Lost?
Yeah, the film, I guess, just didn't last.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, there were a lot of fires in those days too, where they burnt down like movie houses and stuff. Wow. They had the original films in them. So They lost out on a lot of that shit. I remember hearing about that. I heard that was about insurance back then because Hollywood was so tied to the mob.
Yeah. It says the first films to consist of more than one shot appeared toward the end of the 19th century. A notable example is the French film of the life of Jesus Christ by Alice Guy. And then, you know, it just evolved from there and got us to where we are today.
But it seemed like it evolved with some very specific intentions along the way too. And technology took it to a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
You know, to where they took animation from 2D to 3D and starting to take it to 4D, you know, and bringing those things to life in a way that hadn't been done probably ever, or, you know, if not a very long time. So it's interesting how important the internet became to our imagination and how it enhanced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, think about that though. Like I said, Birth of a Nation was propaganda and could possibly be the first dog whistle, right? To hear that rallies the troops, rallies everybody together and say, let's go. Let's move forward. The plan is in motion.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you just evolve off of that idea. Like, think about how many movies get put out that are trying to tell a story or trying to push an agenda, you know, and we feel like, oh, it's unintentional, or this movie was the perfect time to come out. I wonder why, you know?
Yeah. I get all freaked out by that. Like, I'll go to the movie and like in the beginning, in the old days when we used to go to movies, but in the beginning, you know how they show like the producers have the animation thing, the production company.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in front of a movie, they'll be the most occult, crazy, weird shit. You know what I'm talking about? Like a thing with wings will be holding a torch. Someone will beat a gong. There'll be like a cauldron. And then it's like Mission Impossible. You know what the fuck did I just watch?
The movie was in the first 5 seconds. Yeah. That was the real motion picture.
Right. And what was that about too? Because I see that's not a thing anymore.
What?
You know, but before a movie comes on, you have, you know, the 5 seconds of some type of you know, the production company putting up their what's it called?
Yeah, their little banner. You had the GM lion that was like, and you had the lady that had the Statue of Liberty. It was the Libra lady, the balances. That, like, I forgot who that was. That was like Paramount, right? I know Paramount was always the mountain.
The mountain with the star. It's interesting how all of it has something to do with ancient symbols. And that's a good conversation to have right there, because it's all there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like with Paramount, you know, you got the stars on top of on the mountaintop, which is, you know, that we can look at the Baphomet and see that. With the woman holding the torch, with the lion and the circle, you know, kind of like if you want to look at the Sphinx and other ideas, you know, dedicated to that lion. Even down with, you know, with the Oscar, with the statue of the Oscar, you know, and looking at the god of creative art in Egypt, Ptah. It's the same thing, you know. And even with us calling movie stars or celebrity stars, you know what I mean? And mythology is based off of these celestial beings. So, damn, are we part of this story that, you know, the cosmos is telling?
Wow. Man, look, you know, in the old days, that was the thing you do. You take acid, go to a movie. And you're sitting there, you know, you're sitting there at the beginning, you're starting to get high, tripping, and then all of a sudden exactly what we're talking about. You're like, wait. First of all, a lot of times the shit in the beginning, you never even heard of the company. You know, it's like Drexler Incorporated. It's like you know what I mean? It's like dudes shooting arrows over a Hydra. You're like, what the fuck is that? What is that? Why is that in front of me?
Y'all ever see this one, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
Y'all ever question that image? Do y'all ever see anything other than that?
What is it? No, I mean
I don't remember at the on top of my head, but what were you gonna say?
So
It looks like butterfly wings a little bit.
butterfly wings, that's a good one. I think that also you should look at numbers. The idea of how they try to hide numbers within letters.
Uh-huh.
If you look, you can see 4113, and all together it makes a number 9, right?
Whoa.
And that's supposed to be this number of completion. 4113.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's cool.
It's just some bullshit now, but you know.
You know what? I was in Burbank today. It's funny that you did that with Warner Brothers because I was in Burbank today at 4119 Burbank Boulevard.
Oh.
We almost got that close. That would have been spooky.
Close. We'll find something.
Look,
something.
What were you gonna say, Duncan?
I'm gonna look up occult imagery and production companies and see what's out there.
Oh man, I'm sure you're gonna find all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, this shit is nuts.
Share that screen, baby.
Okay, hang on. I'll start putting up what I find. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, wow, holy shit. Did you? I mean, this is like I had a friend who I remember he was like giving me the lowdown on Hollywood, and he was like, "Look, don't you understand why it's called Hollywood? Holywood. That's the cross that crucified Jesus.
Yeah. That's one analogy.
Yeah, and like Hollywood is like the cross. Okay, hold on. It is weird. I mean, look, okay. How about this? Let's not to make it like non-conspiratorial, but let's face it. Many artists love like occult stuff. They love the magic. They love magic. They love
absolutely.
It just like goes with the territory. It's cool. You're looking for a badass logo. What are you gonna use? What do you want? You're gonna put like a silly mouse with some popcorn? No. Put a fucking sphinx up there. Put something badass.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Exactly. And the thing is that I feel like people, like, as artists in general, the way we move about the world kind of puts us in a space like Damien was talking about, in terms of like just you feel that magic. You feel what that is without the deep meditations, without it's something that clicks on a spiritual realm for you in this world. Right. And you can bypass a lot of the bullshit because magic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I think cartoons work so well. Why Disney is probably the biggest thing on the planet is because that taps into that most important thing that moves us in our consciousness, is that magic or that imagination, because you're literally creating a world, worlds within worlds.
Yeah.
Or you're exploring it. And these are all based off of mythology symbols to help you elevate your consciousness, because the story of mythology is that hero's journey, and the hero's journey is always about, destroying or conquering the villain within and rising to the, your occasion. So that's that wave we've been vibrating on for the past while, which I think is pretty cool. But sometimes you can see how these things can get in the way, though, because your mind doesn't know real from fake. So it's just looking at all these images and taking it in. If you're not telling it that, hey, this is just a story, eventually it's going to become real. So if you see subtle little things that are meant to like hinder you, then you become that magician to put your own self in a spell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. You gotta, I mean, look, isn't it just kind of like, magicians like to leave markings? Isn't that like the thing? Like, it's like something cool to like just like shout out your other magician friends who come to them. You know, like you go to a kid's movie and they have jokes in it that your kid won't understand, but that are kind of adult, right? And it's obviously those jokes are for the adult. But
Right.
isn't this kind of the same thing, which is like people who are like doing ceremonial magic or people who are working in this in the occult, they're like they just leave a mark to the other like people in the occult and the
I, I've
audience.
I've heard that before. And then other magicians they can see that mark from that past magician too.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle way of them communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
this is one of our I've been here. And
Oh, do you know what that sounds like?
what?
Since we're looking at signs and symbols, because I've been hearing a lot of these young kids talk about this Pizzagate stuff and these symbols.
Yeah.
But that might be another conversation.
That's
But
a great conversation. QAnon is sweeping the nation right now. People are getting sucked in.
so what is that about?
Well, you know, it's connected. First of all, I'm not the Pizzagate stuff, not the QAnon stuff, but something that's very real is that human trafficking is one of the it's up there with like heroin as far as like one of the big underground industries. And dude, you know, there are people who out there, these fucking monstrous pieces of shit like to have sex with kids. Like we've known that forever. That's not new information. There's like, you hear it all the time, these pedophilia busts, people who are fucking like have like terabytes of like fucking children, like horrible. It's horrible. And I think the reason maybe you hear that news and you try not to hear it because it's like you don't want to think you live in that kind of world, you know, but it's real. I mean, and it's by nature conspiratorial in the sense that these, you know, it's one of the most illegal things. If you get busted for it, you're going to go to jail for a long time and you deserve to be there. And when you're in jail, you're probably going to get murdered. You know, like justice will take care of itself. And again, we've talked about this before, but there's a dark part of me that's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's the right thing for you to happen to you if you're hurting children, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the you know, I don't know. But that being said, Pizzagate and a lot of people this is where some people are like, you know, really critical of the QAnon thing is because they're saying it's like muddying the waters. It's like, we know there's a fucking problem. But if you're like starting to say, you know, people who aren't pedophiles are pedophiles, you know what I mean? If you're doing false accusations based on weird shit, then it ends up, you know, it ends up muddying the waters. Where it's like, we need to concentrate on the real fucking pedophiles. We could all agree on that. Let's get rid of them all. So Pizzagate, just because I follow conspiracy shit all the time and I've followed the evolution of this one, it has its roots in a few different things. One of them being the Hillary Clinton email links, where you get this legitimately weird ass email to John fucking Podesta. Now, before we go into like the John Podesta email, I'll put up some of the art that was in John Podesta's house.
Yeah, I saw that with the girls and the kids with the hands tied behind their backs and the hanging. Yeah, I saw that, man. I saw that shit.
And it's like, there isn't a way, because, you know, when I heard about it, I try to be skeptical initially because you have to be, or you'll get sucked into bullshit. But and I remember like trying to look at the art and make it make sense.
Yeah,
you know what
it doesn't
I mean?
make
Try
sense.
to look at it in a way. I'll pull it up on the screen here. That was on John fucking Podesta's wall, man. Like think if you come over to my house when you came over, and that was on one of my walls.
Explain.
Would you be comfortable with me being around your kids if you saw that?
I would have taken them home.
You would have taken him home. Exactly. Like,
Taking
that's fucked up. And that is the right thing to do. If you see that on the fucking wall of someone's house and you have kids,
Whoa.
you like take your you go the fuck home. Now, like, so that's part of the problem right there. Just that alone is enough. But also we get this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's not okay. It's not okay. Then you get this. So you get this. Let me find it here. This is pizza email. So let's see. Sometimes my friend and I will go back and forth. Like, he'll send me this email on Twitter, like acting like he's talking to me. But just because it's that fucking weird that people will be like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys if they don't know that it comes from Podesta? Let me see it. Hold on. So this is from like someone saying there, and these are hard to find. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. You have to go to WikiLeaks. This is the other weird thing. Some of these are like, you can't find it right away, and you should. So here's an email to John Podesta from his realtor. Hi, John. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond. Well, that's like just whatever. That's weird. But a lot of these people think that pizza is like a code word for fucking kids. And like, there's another really weird one about kids. It's like bringing kids over to swim in the pool in front of him. You know, like, hold on. See if I can find it. See if I can find this one. All this shit, like the kids in the pool, the pizza stuff, I could like dismiss it. It's like, I don't know. If someone just looked at my emails to my friends, who knows what they'd fucking think, you know? But like the picture on the wall is what,
yeah,
that's what fucks it up. So here it is. Here it is. Let's see what it is. Wait, hold on. Okay. With enormous gratitude to advanced man extraordinaire Haber, I'm popping up again to share excitement about the reprise of our gang's visit to the farm in Lovettsville, and I thought I'd share a couple more notes. We plan to heat the pool, so a swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby, Emerson, and Maeve Lozado, 11, 9, and almost 7. So you'll have some further entertainment, and they'll be in that pool for sure. It's like just weird, right? Like, what does that mean? What? Transporting.
That sounds way more than weird.
Yeah, that don't make sense.
Yeah. You're bringing wait, what? You're having kids shipped in to swim in front of you in a pool at a farm?
Just saw this article about canceling Dan Harmon, and I didn't know why. And then I read it, and it said that he made this short called Daryl.
Yeah.
Are you all familiar with this?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Rick and Morty guy, right?
Yeah.
Skitty did. I saw it. Yeah. Now, what I saw, I saw an edited version, so I didn't see.
I saw the real fucking deal, dude.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
And what was the point of making it?
Edginess. He's not a pedophile. Harmon's not I'm friends with him. Dude's not a pedophile.
I don't take him as a pedophile at all. But what I will say is that who's around that's not like telling you don't do that shit? Who's that afraid of you as a creator? Or I don't understand.
Okay, let me explain. I'll do some Harmon apologetics here. And again,
I totally understand the edginess though. I get it. I get it, but it's just fucking bad.
No, okay. So in the early days of Harmon, like the early days, they were doing this thing called And I think that's what that was. They were doing this ridiculous thing. They would have it at this movie theater. Everybody would make like a sketch that was like a few minutes and they'd show it and people would vote on it and it would get picked up for the next like week or whatever if people liked it, right? So I think that's what that was. So they're creating an idea is it like forces you to make comedy sketches and make them fast. You throw it up on the screen and that's what it was, right? So that sketch, that's not fun. I didn't laugh at that. It's not a funny sketch. Didn't make me laugh. That's just like, I know what that is. And I think I know what he was probably trying to do there. It's called edgelording, right? It's like, I'm going to make a thing that's fucked up beyond comprehension. And it's an early phase. It's like something that happens in like the beginning of like working with comedy, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that was Ancient Harmon. That was from a long time ago.
Yeah, that was definitely a while ago.
Yeah, and like when you're like, and especially when you have the kind of mind he has, which does stretch out to the far reaches of the fucking universe, man.
Right.
Far reaches of the universe. Like, and for better or for worse, the guy's like, if you're around that guy for 20 minutes, it's the craziest shit. He's so smart. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And like all the shit that comes out of him is like so funny and cartoony and crazy. Anytime I'm around him, like, God, man, I must have like, I huffed too much glue when I was a kid, man. You know, like vomits out this hilarious, brilliant, but sometimes very dark, very edgy stuff. And I think what you're seeing there is in poor taste and not thought out very well. But if you look back at when it came out and how it came out and the time period it came out in, I don't know, man. It's in poor taste, but because somebody makes a stupid ass shitty thing that's a dumb attempt at comedy about fucking a baby back when they were trying to be all edgy and shit, post Mr. Show, post Gen X 90s comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's just bad taste. That guy is like, man, I've known him for a long time. And if anybody I know, and I've like, there was a time where like, I got some weird sense a long time ago from like somebody I don't talk to. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck's good. Not any kind of weird thing like that. It's like, you avoid that like the Black Plague. And if you have real proof or any real sense that someone's doing some fucked up shit like that, you got to call them. Cops. Call the fucking cops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah. Like with him, like I've never ever gotten that sense at all ever. But like that being said, it's not a funny sketch. It's not a funny sketch. But I hate that people are saying because you made this stupid shit sketch where you fucking dry humped a baby doll, you therefore abuse children.
I don't take it as far as to call him a pedophile. It's the idea that there's I mean, and it was before he was who he is now, right?
Exactly.
So like, of course, okay, it just took me by surprise. I literally saw it today, and it was something I was just like, who does that? I mean, and I can appreciate the genius in Rick and Morty, in Community, and whatever else he's working on. Like the stuff that he's done is been great. Today, it's just like you just learn something new about somebody. I've not interacted with him in like a long form setting. Like we were at Upfronts together, and like we saw each other at like a party or something like that. And it was just like and at this point he doesn't really socialize with people not in his circle. So it's like a interesting thing. But
yeah, man. I mean, look, this is I guess because I came up around comics at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I've literally heard if they can any blasphemy, they could sum it up, especially if they think it's going to offend you in the moment.
Yeah,
they will, because they think it's that's like, oh, it's like my friend is a chef, and he told me that when you're like studying to be a chef, it's weird because you make inedible things. You make things that aren't based on eating. You make things that are based on like icing, or you make things that are based on consistency, or you make things that are like not edible. And comedians will make shit that is not for mass consumption. It's like and not funny. It's like, you know, like you go to the fucking zoo, right? And you see a monkey bend down and it like spreads its ass. It knows it's being watched. It shits. It picks the shit up and then throws it at the glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know comedians like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're doing the same thing with words
Yeah.
because they're just trying to get a charge out of people.
Yeah.
And that and especially like if you look at the history of like the fucking comedy we came through. I mean, look at like I've almost like I just don't have the time to do it, but I have thought of like a great documentary would be called Dead Baby Jokes. And it follows the history of edgelord comedy from back in the National Lampoon days, you know, like remember the dead baby jokes? Remember that? How many dead babies does it take to blah blah blah? Remember that? That was like they would sell these books about jokes about dead fucking babies.
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Dead baby jokes?
No.
Look, let me show you.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. It was like
who had time for that?
people in the fucking 80s.
Whoa.
Like it's a whole look. Dead baby jokes. Wikipedia. Dead baby jokes are a joke cycle reflecting dark comedy. The joke is presented in riddle form, beginning with a what question and concluding with a grotesque punchline. Here's some examples on Wikipedia. What's the difference between a truckload of dead babies and a truckload of bowling balls? With bowling balls, you can't use pitchforks. What's more fun than nailing a baby to a post? Ripping it off again. What's bright blue, pink, and sizzles? A baby breastfeeding on an electrical outlet. What's better than 1,000 dead babies stapled to a tree? One dead baby stapled to 1,000 trees. This was a whole genre of jokes. There's actually a book on it, The Dead Baby Joke Cycle in Western Folklore. Yeah, like, but do people telling a dead baby joke, do they kill babies? No. But are they funny? I wouldn't say they're fucking funny, but they are if you're in like junior high and you're trying to like get people to go, oh,
right.
You know, that's all it is. It's not real. And I think Dan Harmon's sketch qualifies as a
dead baby joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
And also the time period it emerged in really does connect it to that lineage. Like that was like where I know I guarantee what he came out of, that was like bubbling around that version of comedy. It's a lineage of comedy, for better or for worse. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only lineage of joke I ever heard of was the Aristocrats joke. That was like the only one. But you're supposed to say like the dirtiest shit that you can, right? Like yeah.
That's it. Edgelording. It's like hack now. It had its day in the sun though. Like there was a time when it wasn't hacky. Now it's considered hack. Like any of that shit is just like, come on, you could do better than that. I used to get that's like a lazy writing period if you're a comic, because you start, you know, the worst is when you see someone on stage and they go, I know you're not laughing. Don't act like it's not funny. I know you're trying. Like, shut the fuck up. No one's laughing. Right. It's not funny. No one's afraid to laugh.
Duncan, have you ever been booed off stage before?
I've never been booed off stage. I've been booed. I had someone offer to buy me a drink if I get off stage. I was eating shit hard that night. She was right. I should have let the next comic come on.
Yeah.
Man,
I've never been booed off, but I've been booed.
Yeah. And do you trip on stage sometimes when you do jokes, or is that like you don't fuck with you don't? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have bad nights. Yeah. You have to have like if you're gonna get good, if you're gonna do comedy, you gotta have you're gonna have bad nights.
But I mean, do you trip and then have a bad night?
What do you mean? Do I take acid on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, I've tried. No, it doesn't work because it fucks. Like any psychedelic, like I tried mushrooms, acid, any psychedelic that distorts time is not good for comedy because you got to have a kind of like
comedic timing, because you
Yeah.
can't slow that joke down.
yeah
Finish the
Yeah.
punchline 10 minutes later.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Mitch Hedberg might have been able to do it, man.
Man, I have a great Mitch Hedberg. My friend told me, my friend used to open for him, man. And
Oh, word.
and so Mitch Hedberg, this is towards the end. Like Mitch Hedberg came on stage. He said he just wasn't even doing jokes. He was just high, just blasted, man. He like made out with like a 70-year-old lady who was sitting in the front row. Then he like lay down on his back and just like telling people he loves them. He's not doing jokes though. And like my friend had to come out and like he was open for Mitch, but he had to come, take Mitch back and then go back on stage and close the show because Mitch was incapacitated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He was, people still loved him. I love like getting high and doing stand-up. There are like you can get stoned and do
Yeah.
stand-up, no problem. If you blow a problem. Like once, this was like I was at the House of Blues with Rogan opening up for him in the early days. And he like, we're sitting backstage and he's like, I'm scared, man. Because his crowds were so much bigger than anything I was used to. And like, he's getting me stoned. And I'm too scared to think about like, fuck, man. Rogan's weed is always so strong. And I'm like, not thinking I'm getting stoned. And then I just got so high. And I can remember like looking in the mirror and looking at myself and thinking, I'm just gonna go and run away. I'm gonna run into the streets of New Orleans. I'm just gonna like, I'll lose Joe as a friend. I won't get booked as a comedian anymore, but I'll go into hiding. I was having all this paranoia. Like I'll just get a little apartment in New Orleans, just, disappear from the world for a little while. And then, anything to not go in front of this crowd. And like right before I went on stage, and Joe thought it was so funny. He knew exactly how high I was. Right before I go on stage, he like leans in and he whispers, "Don't fuck this up." It was awesome. It was a great set. But man, woo, that was scary. But weed you can do. Weed you can connect. Alcohol.
Yeah. Weed is a gateway, but a gateway to higher learning. I think it's a gateway for whatever like whatever you're vibrating on. You know what I mean? Because you see people use it for different things. I know it on that creative side, man. It can help you channel into some places. And I was doing some research today, and I learned that I forgot the name of the book, but they were saying that back in Africa they used to take bundles of cannabis and put it into like a big pot, and they would just burn it and let the fumes just, kind of like how they would do with sage. And they would use this to channel in different energies the same way they would with, any other ritual. So I thought that was,
It's that ritual magic, baby.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Also, I've heard in Judaism, like when they talk about anointing your head with oil and stuff, that was hash oil. Like, like in the church now, the priest, like in Catholic ceremonies, the priest will go down, walk down and like swing the
little smoky thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that supposedly used to be cannabis. So like you'd be at church and the priest would be waving, the weed smoke would just be blowing in your face. And then it would all make sense. Like a lot of people say cannabis is the missing link in a lot of these religious ceremonies. Is like, you're not supposed to be at church sober on a Sunday. Like you're supposed to be high as a fucking kite. High as a kite, man. But we've lost that. And so people go there and they're all sober and then they pretend to be moved or whatever. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like having an iPhone that's not charged and pretending that you're checking your messages. You know, it's like
yeah, man. I feel like that's a crazy thing too. Like, you know, growing up in church, I would see little kids, you know, emulate what they saw around them. And it wasn't like they quite understood, but if they repeated the same things that their parents said or their grandparents said and behaved in the way in which they saw at the church, somehow they were this like child prodigy of Jesus Christ.
yeah.
And I just thought to myself, well, that's just learned behavior. That's not, you put that kid in a trap house, he's gonna learn how to sell drugs really fast.
Wow.
Like it's not a thing about whether or not this child is a chosen one from Christ or not, but he obviously has like a very fast learning capabilities, you know.
Yeah.
They don't really pay attention to reading, you know, the story, man, because that whole idea of like if this was like the next Jesus or that prodigy, because they'll say, oh man, you got that Christ in you, but the idea of Christ that we were given growing up was of somebody who nobody in the community liked. Now, on a more metaphysical level, it was because he became conscious and nobody else was. So, you know, it's hard because, you know, you're not on the same plane, but you're trying to make them self-aware of that.
Right.
But he still got sacrificed by his own people. You know, that's how the story goes.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And if we only know it on the surface level like that, that's something that we continue to like perpetuate, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You mean wanting your kid to be Jesus?
Wanting your kid to be this crucified savior, having the savior complex.
Yeah. Oh.
And feeling like your struggle in life is because you were chosen to be the savior. Versus you're in this struggle because you're being manipulated right now. And you don't have to think your way out of it. If you have tools and information to get out of it, then you'll be different.
Wow. That's heavy, man.
And it's even like you know, in ways where like, you know, it's like in church too, like when they're like, you know, when everybody starts standing up, when the choir is singing, everybody starts standing up because they feel in the spirit, but you don't stand up, but all eyes start to turn on you. And they go, why aren't you standing up? Do you not love the Lord?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Don't look at me.
Yo, that happened to me where I got so scared to where I had to give in to the moment.
Yeah.
And I was on the ground by myself at a church because he was laying hands on people and they kept passing out. They was freaking me out because what they did, they started playing this like real heavy, dark music, which was out of nowhere. It was just like dun, dun, dun. And so the pastor was like, he all sweating, his big-eyed, dark-skinned dude. He's sweating real hard. He's coming up to people, grabbing them by the neck, and he's going, ah! And people going, ah! And they're just passing out. And I'm getting freaked out, like, whoa, I've never seen this before. I'm from a small Baptist town. We don't do this. You would dump a head in water for baptism, but that's it. You know, we drink crackers and grape juice.
Grape juice.
For communion. We don't do this. So they made everybody in the church come to the front, and he just started like just knocking people out. They falling out, and then the women would come and they would put like white blankets over who was on the ground, and they're just on the ground just shaking. And I don't know whether to leave or stay. Something told me to leave, but then I told myself like, yo, that's just the devil wanting you to run away from what God has for you. So stick it out. But my heart's just, and then he stopped. So after he stopped, I'm like, okay, good. I missed it. Great. We don't have to go through this anymore. And then he felt it again. He's like, you know what? I'm not finished yet. And he reached in his pocket. He's on top of the podium. We're out in the stands. He just went, catch it. catch it. And people were like, oh, and they would fall to the ground, be passed out. I'm like, oh man, I never even seen it happen where you're not even physically touching them. This is too much. So he came, now he comes back down. And then he just dropped. I feel my eyes are closed, but I'm holding hands, and I just feel hands like dropping next to me. And then he finally gets to me, and then he grabs me, and he starts blowing on my forehead. He was like, damn, and I just lay down. I just lay down. And I was there for like for a good like I don't know 30 minutes. Now I get
30 minutes. Wait for everybody else to finish.
I didn't know when to get up. So
wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense day. It was pretty intense.
Oh, but what about the moments when you're in church and right when the pastor get done, he's like, oh, now some of you could have been anywhere today, but you chose to come here. Can I have my visitors stand up, please? If you're visiting the church for the first time, stand up. Stand up if you're not a member of this here community. Stand up. And we be like, oh man, I really don't want to stand up.
Right. Yeah, right.
Gotta get up. Gotta get up.
It's so much pressure, though, man. It's so much pressure.
No, they do it at Agape. If this is your first time at the Agape Spiritual Center, stand up, and everybody turns and they put their hands up to you and they go, "Welcome to Agape. We are glad you're here."
Now, because I don't want to sound like I'm just pulling on the church, because I had some great experience growing up in the church. But when I was about 6, I didn't know any better. I'm 6, so I'm not paying attention. So I'm at revival, and during revival, that's once a year during the summer. So it's a whole week where every night you go to church at night and you're there all night. Right. And it's hot because they don't have any AC. And they did the altar call. So the altar call is when they call you up if you want to get baptized to, give your life over to Jesus. And so if you want to be a part of that, you walk down the aisle to the front, and then, you confess or you say some nice words to the pastor. And so when they had told everybody to stand up, they're playing music and they said, who wants to get baptized? So my cousin, he's about the same age as me, maybe a little bit older. I thought he said hypnotized. He was like, yo, they're hypnotizing people. And I was like, what? Hell, I was like, sign me up. So we're walking down the aisle of this jam-packed church. And so, people are like just clapping now because they see these 2 beautiful 6-year-old boys walking up to give their life to Jesus, not knowing they're thinking they're about to get hypnotized. We didn't know any better. So we get to the front, and they kind of, if you don't have anything to say as a kid, they kind of like make you say something. So they'll just tell you Jesus wept. So I just said Jesus wept, and then a couple of days later I got baptized. I had no idea what was going on, but later on I kind of understood what they were talking about.
Whoa, dude, that's such, man. Look, kids. Poor kids, right? Like you're too young to deal with any of that shit. You don't know. You're just gonna do what your parents want you to do. You want your parents to like you. I mean, if you as an adult would fake lay down because you want to fit in, what's a kid gonna do? Right? Of course they're gonna go along with it. They have to. Man, I was friends with when I was very little, like I don't remember the age. I was in Texas. Somehow I was friends with the son of the priest at an Episcopal church.
Oof.
And he took me back to I don't know what it's called. It's like we're at the dressing room for the priest, his dad. And we're
The priest locker room.
Yeah, it's like a locker room for a priest where they put on their thing and they get the
They put on the face paint.
They drizzle their head or whatever. But I had been like, up until that point, raised as an Episcopalian. I was really like, this is like getting backstage at a magic show. And like, you could tell this kid kind of like, this is not the first time he had done this. So he like takes me back. He reopens a drawer filled with communion wafers, pulls them out. They're like in the same thing as like Ritz cracker packages. You know what I mean? Like they're crackers. So he like opened, these are always laid out on like a silver platter these days. They're cracker packages. He opens it up and just starts eating them like crackers. And he's like, take some. They're good. Are you hungry? And I just remember, like, oh, fuck. It's crackers, right? I've related that story to people, and they told me that actually, technically, they are just crackers. Because until the priest does the ritual on them, which is called the transubstantiation, they're not the flesh of God. So they are. But dude, y'all got it, man. If I was sticking around in LA long enough, if I come back here, we have got to go. There is a Catholic religious supply store for Catholic priests downtown LA. Mm-hmm. I went there to get like a Burning Man outfit. And I went there thinking I have to lie that I was a priest, because I wasn't sure if they just let you buy shit. But dude, it's all they don't care. They don't care. And there's priests in there trying on robes in front of a mirror, like looking at themselves. I swear to God, real priests who are like looking to make sure they look good in their fucking robes. I swear to God, dude, it was the biggest mindfuck. And you gotta pay. It's not like, oh, you're a priest, here, take your robe. It's like, that's $250. Yeah. Like, this shit's expensive. It's like handmade. I got this bishop's robe and a bishop's hat.
Uh-oh. Like we lost him for a minute.
No, I'm back. God struck me down. I'm telling you, y'all got to go. It's the funniest shit. It's got everything you need to start a church. You got your communion wafers. You got your purple robes. You got your wafers. They got you, dude. You can go buy it, like stock up on. You can buy communion wafers on Amazon, like, and it ain't cheap to be a priest. That's the thing that kind of blew my mind. I always thought like the church gave you your robes, but I guess you have to go buy them.
Wow, that's interesting. What is that system? Because wasn't it just a year ago, a little less than, because we was just talking about that whole trafficking thing, that wasn't like 1,000 or something priests went down for, molesting these kids. So like, is that just not a thing no more? Because I'm sure whatever they had been breeding for generations is still brewing. So
no, they took care of it.
Right.
Everything's fine. It's fine. Well, it was a little bit of a problem. We were moving priests around to protect them from prosecution, but we've taken care of the whole situation. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep. Shape on. Give me a fucking break, man. They, listen, it's so many kids. So it's like, okay, this is the way I always think of it. Imagine if Target, the chain of Target, the stores, was found guilty of molesting as many kids as the Catholic Church was. Right? Does Target stay in business?
No.
How soon before the U.S. government shuts fucking Target down? Like, this is like some kind of fucked up organization that's supporting pedophiles.
That's a really good point. That's a good point.
Starbucks, a school, a private school, you name any organization. If you want to understand how powerful the Catholic Church is, that will tell you how fucking powerful they fucking are. Because they openly were moving priests around who were abusing children, and they're still out there. And they're still, dude, there was in LA, you can look it up, a a priest who was like in residence. I don't know if it's the right word, like DJs, but like there was a priest there from like El Salvador or something. He gave this beautiful sermon about how fucked up it is that priests are molesting kids. It was beautiful, about how evil has entered into the church and how, you know, it's like, it's not supposed to be like that. And it's degrading the whole institution. They moved his fucking ass out the next day. They sent him right back to fucking El Salvador. He was done.
No way.
Yeah, dude, look it up. They were like, you're out.
What?
You're out. Yeah, he had to go. You gotta go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go.
Don't tell them that kind of truth around here.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You want to know what it is? I'll tell you what it fucking is. It's like, look, I'm not going to go. By the way, all due respect to like legitimate Catholics, but come on, does the Catholic Church necessarily have like the best record in history? Right? Like, let's take a look at the history of the Catholic Church. We're talking about the Spanish Inquisition. We're talking about fucking witch burnings, right? We're talking about like not like priests raping nuns. You know what I mean? We're talking about like subversion, manipulation at the highest level. Dude, do you think this is the real question? There's two important questions. The most important one is, do you think they're still doing it? You think the priests are still doing it? That's the most important question. The second most important question is, how long have they been doing it? Because if you think this fucking shit just started in the 70s, oh, no. This has been going on a long time, except the difference is, think of the 1800s, 1400s. You find out that the priest has been touching your kid. And so you go and report the priest. And then guess what happens? Your wife's a witch. Your wife's been accused of witchcraft, dragged out of the fucking house and burned at the stake for trying to keep a priest from fucking your kid. They're just burning you at the stake, right? You think it just started? No,
this is why I don't understand why we don't put red flags on the Bible more. It's not that throw the whole thing away. If there's something great from it, take it. But we're still reading stories that say, hey, don't hurt my guests, but you can rape my 2 daughters in the house. You know what I mean?
Where's that?
What? You can't do that.
What part of the Bible?
That's in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah with Lot. So in the story of Lot, you know, they're doing all type of debauchery in the land. So 2 or 3 angels come through, and they're telling Lot, like, hey, we're about to, you know, destroy this place with fire. You know, so get your family out. And so apparently a lot of the boys and the grown men in the town heard that there were male guests in the house. So they came and bombarded the house and said, hey, let the men out of the house so that we can have our way with them and have sex with them. And he goes, and the dad, who is Lot, goes, don't mess with my guests because they're special, but I do have 2 daughters who haven't been touched yet. You can have them and do whatever you want. And so the angels get the men and the boys away, and they're really like, oh, we're really destroying this place now. Look how fucked up this is. So the next part of the story, they travel out with the wife, the 2 daughters, and Lot, and the angels. The wife looks back. She turns into a pillar of salt. There's a whole nother story behind that. So then now there's no mom. There's just 2 daughters, and there's Lot. Lot says, hey, just let me go safely into this small town where nobody will bother me. They say, okay, cool. So they go there, and then the one daughter says to her sister, damn, we can't really keep our family, you know, line going because there's nobody else around. So how about we get dad drunk tonight? I'll have sex with him and get pregnant. And blah, now 2 sisters are pregnant by the dad. Story goes on. Now these are like one of the part of the 12 tribes of Israel. But the children in the story is awful.
Oh, yeah. That was a fucked up. The Old Testament. You know, that's why they call it the New Testament. I mean, that's the idea, is like that was like that version of the whole point was, here's like an interpretation that doesn't involve you know, that kind of primordial Evil Dead level of post-apocalyptic insanity. That was the idea. I mean, that's the thing. You look at and I'm not talking about like the epistles. You look at the Gospels, and also someone here mentioned the books that got left out, and because a lot of books didn't make the cut, and there's no reason they didn't make the cut. Like, you know, have you heard the stories of Jesus as a baby? You know, there's a whole scripture about baby Jesus.
I haven't heard that one.
No,
Oh
no.
yeah, he was taking mud. He would take mud, and he took mud and made, I think, doves out of the mud and brought them to life, and they flew away. He killed his bully. He was being bullied, and he turned around and like struck him dead. He was like he did exactly what a kid would do if he had all that power. Our story starts with him in the temple correcting the priests or whatever, but he's got this whole beautiful childhood crazy story gets left out. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene gets left out. All of it gets left out. But even the stuff that didn't get left out is beautiful. And as far as I'm aware, there's nowhere in there that it has any kind of even the mildest implication that it's okay to abuse children. It's like, in fact, that's the verse, suffer the little children to come unto me. It would be better than a millstone were tied to their neck, which again, if you are a Catholic priest and you've been trained in that particular religion and you know the scripture backwards and forwards, you know that shit in Greek, you know what I mean? You know it. And you're getting a kid to suck your dick. What does that say about you? What does that say you are? And what religion are you really a part of? I would say. What's your true religion? If like that's what you're doing, knowing those words have been burned into your soul and you're getting a fucking kid and fucking him. To me, that's I don't think people dwell enough on the fact that these people are supposed to be pure divine representatives of love and a story that has within it nothing that I'm aware of about hurting kids. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe they're thinking that shit, the Old Testament shit. I don't know.
But you should be aware of anybody with that type of ego surrounding them anyway. Because if you're a spiritual person, you're not putting a title on yourself that sits 4 levels above anybody else, because you're not in tune with God, because God is all. So you're in harmony with everything. So you're not above or beneath anything. You're in union with it. So the fact that you even feel like you have to be this special person who's this higher up that nobody has any availability to except for God, even that right there is some program.
Yeah, I agree. You're right.
Yeah.
Wait, the whole damn story. Like, also, that's the whole story is Jesus is going around telling people you don't really need a priest class. You're in direct connection with the divine. You know, fly in the face of the priest class. That's why they killed him. He was fucking everything up. He was saying, like, why do I need a middleman to talk to the universe? You don't need that shit. And I don't have to follow your laws. Right. We're going to eat on the Sabbath. We're going to heal on the Sabbath. What are you telling me not to heal people because it's your magic day? They killed his ass for it. And then suddenly this thing pops into existence, which is allegedly representing that story, but it's doing the exact opposite of what that story says. What's that? I mean, look, have you seen the Pope's chamber? You know, the one that looks like a snake at the Vatican?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I've seen that one.
That's an audience chamber. What the fuck is that all about? Is that an accident that happened to look like a fucking viper? Was that an accident?
No, not at all. Wow.
Like, why does it look like that?
Man, because they know they I think they got a little bit of that magic in them, and they're sick with it. Like, you got maybe 1 or 2 people who have it and manipulating other people who don't have it into thinking that they do.
Well, I think they do have it, though. That's the thing. It's like, I think they do have it. They study it. And what I'm learning from this very, very beginning level stage of ritual magic is that it's all about the practice and the actual thing that you do. It's just about the repetition and the practice of the thing that you do. So if you stay in the practice of it, then you'll have the magic. If you get that currency from the direct lineage, you have that magic. If you don't do anything with it, or if you choose to, I don't know, stand aside while things happen with that magic, that's not like a manipulation. That's just fear. What can you change? You one person doing magic out of the 12 million out there that wants things to be different.
Mind control, because you're influencing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One person moving 1,000 people do one thing. That's crazy. That looks like magic.
Does that look normal to you?
What the fuck is that? Skulls?
Yeah. Hey, what's like? Think if you came to my house and I sat in a chair like that in front of that fucking thing, would you let your kids around?
Wow.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think these guys on the far ends holding the staffs there, do you think they know as much of what's going on, or do you think they just got put in a fucking job of like, here, just stand here and hold this and wear this?
Dude,
or do you think they're aware?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of these people, like, you know, they're born into it. You're born into it. You have no defense mechanism. From the moment you can think, people are telling you you're going to go to hell if you don't say the right words. That's the kind of God that's in the universe. That, like, it'll send you to hell as a kid. They tell you that, man. They'll tell you you'll go to hell forever. These kids, man. I mean, if you ever dated like been with someone who's was raised Catholic, they're permanently like scared of sex. They feel dirty. They think they think it's bad to like. It's abuse. It's psychological abuse. They make people feel guilty about their bodies. They tell you the earth is evil. They do all kinds of like dark shit to people right when they're too young. They're like, you know, I'm sorry. I know I sound anti-Catholic here. I think there's probably great threads within the religion, but overall, it's like, man, imagine Marcus, imagine telling your kids that if they don't say the right words, that they will forever burn in hell.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It doesn't just happen in the Christian church. This is in all religions. But yeah, because you get a lot of damaging stuff in the Christian church too. But it's so funny that they all stem from that one seed of something that broke off in Rome, where Rome wanted to suppress this union with this feminine energy. Yes. There was a uprising that happened in Rome with a group of women. I think it's called the Cult of Isis. And the women were already during that time in Rome getting their rights suppressed. And they didn't even know at the time that, damn, in other cultures like Egypt, women had the right to choose who they wanted to have sex with. They had rights over their property, you know, so forth and so on. And these women realized that, oh man, the emperor he gives us no right. He doesn't even call us, you know, his equal. He gives us other titles like whore. So, no, we're gonna fight against that. And so they built a temple for Isis, which is Aset, which is that African deity of Egypt. It got burned down by the emperor, and a lot of women got killed. But there had already been something brewing there, where because all of this is copied from earlier cultures, this mythology story, and then you're taking it and you're forming it to teach back to your culture. But in all of the earlier cultures, there was a man, and there was a woman, and then there was a child. And then when you get to Catholicism and some of these later European cultures, it's man, man child. And it's that they took that woman out. It's like, whoa, what happened? You know, that's something that, you know, I'm still studying, but something happened around that time from the conception of that religion. The sexual deviance going on.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, it's like, you know, also don't forget, you know, if you look at like the epistles, the post-gospel stuff after Jesus died, that was being written by Paul of Tarsus, who never met Jesus. Like, that wasn't even a real disciple. That's someone who had a vision of Jesus and then became the father of Christianity. He didn't even like know Jesus in the flesh. He used to that became the guy. Because what happened is, you know, the idea was Jesus said, I'm going to come, I will return even while, you know, some of you will not die before I return. So the early Christians were like, okay, he's coming back. Right tomorrow. All right. Some of us are getting really old.
Did you know? Did you read in the Bible that he came back and left again?
You mean post-tomb? After he went up into the sky, he returned again? I didn't read that.
Yeah. He returned again in another body.
He forgot his keys.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this either until like later on in life, but the disciples saw him from afar because they were out in the water on the boat, and they seen this man at the shore, like just chilling, and then they just, I guess, automatically knew it was Jesus. So they went up and talked to this strange man, this unknown man, even though they knew it was Jesus. But in the story, it was saying that he had came back to talk to them one more time, and then he left again.
That's cool. Look, I mean, this is the thing, man. You look at domesticated Christianity, you get a mess. You get a boring, fucking stupid, sex negative, crazy shit. Doesn't make sense. You hear it, and you should be like, "What does that even mean?" If I offer my heart to Christ, I'll be. None of it makes any sense at all. And then you go and look at the actual Greek, and it's like, wait, what the fuck is that? Because it's not what you're seeing in church. And I think that's on purpose. I mean, I think the idea is like, look, if you really want to understand it, you're supposed to seek it out yourself.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to understand that it's not going to be easy, that you have to do the research and look into it. And you're not, a priest class is not going to support a version of Christianity that says you don't need a priest class. They're going to interpret it in ways that aren't existential threats to think all the fucking money they make. Are you kidding?
I was just about to say capitalism, man. Fucking capitalism.
No taxes. People throw money and they throw money. Dude, the fucking Catholic Church was directly connected to the mafia for a long time. They were laundering money for the fucking mafia. Like, dude, like it's the like they don't pay taxes. Do you know how much money they have? How much property people die and they leave their land to the Catholic Church. Do you man? The Vatican, we will never know how much money. We just won't know. Right. So much dough, so much power. P.S. You know, everyone's like, oh, fucking Epstein, he filmed all those people doing shit, right? It's like, what's the confession booth, man?
Oh, right. Whoa. That's a lot.
Brilliant. Get everybody to tell you their secrets. And then, like, if they become a threat, you're like, excuse me. I think we need to have a little talk. You see, God told me that you were very nice to your wife. You know,
manipulation.
Yeah.
And that's probably what happened with that Trinity, because on the big pictures, to 90% of the people, you're not going to see that woman. But if you really pay attention, because the word occult means hidden, not anything spooky, it means they're going to put the truth in front of you, but it's going to be right in your face, but it's going to be hidden in plain sight. So if you read throughout the New Testament, you will see that it's actually the woman in the story who is doing a lot of the saving when it comes to actually saving the Christ figure or saving Jesus. So Mary Magdalene or his mother.
Yeah.
So he has that dual feminine energy going on with him, but it's not presented that way because all you talk about is the 12 disciples or Father God or the devil. You know what I mean?
I'm back. Yeah, I lost you for a second. The dual feminine energy, I lost you just after you said that.
That dual feminine energy, but what's presented to us is just the masculine. We're talking about Jesus, the devil, 12 disciples, or Father God.
Yeah. The story isn't complete. It's not all the data. But that is why I think one of the things throughout the New Testament Jesus says, he says, let they who have ears to listen hear. That's what he says. And that's clearly saying like this shit's coded. It's not,
everybody won't have ears. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says that over and over, things like that over and over. Like, you need to listen. This isn't just I'm telling you parables, but they're deep, deep, deep things that are, if you were, damn, I lost y'all. Anyway, look, I don't know, man. I love Christianity, but I do not love the mainstream version of it. I find that to be antithetical to my connection with it. It does, a lot of that stuff just doesn't seem to be the same way I understand it.
But it's like y'all said, man, it's all a search. It's all a journey of like, once you decide that you want to go down that path, it's about finding the truth. Nothing else. It's not about praise and worship. It's not about finding some magical thing that's like been hidden for forever. It's you. You're the key of it all.
Oh.
It's the kingdom inside that you have to explore. So, when it all comes down to it, man, all that shit is just a hyper physical, result of the bullshit, from what the actual thing is about.
Yeah, man. Who said it'd be easy? Why would it be easy? Why would it be? Why? Maybe it is, why? It's like one of the great things. And why wouldn't it be misunderstood? And why wouldn't thieves and criminals and fucking money launderers and child abusers and people who represent all the darkness, why wouldn't they take the most beautiful thing and corrupt it into something that's the opposite?
Exactly.
It's what they do. That's their job. They do it with any great thing. They'll do it with anything.
Exactly. It's a job. If we started looking at our time here more like a job and what it is that you spend your time doing, it would be a lot easier. It would be a lot easier to decipher that journey, man.
Yeah.
But the ego will get you caught up real quick with that idea, though.
But what your job is?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that you got a job, but that don't.
Like 1,000 illusions in front of you before you get to that real job.
Well, here's the thing, man. When you on a job, how often is your job have to do with making sure you regulate other people or making sure that you keep other people in check? I mean, technically, yeah, you got like jobs where there are ushers and there are like people who help people Yes, other people are your business. But the idea of it is that there is a specific duty that you have to uphold. There is something that you have to do that nobody else is assigned this thing but you. And even if somebody else was assigned a thing, you don't fucking worry about that.
Yeah.
Ain't your fucking business.
But then what about the experience? Would you would you lose that? What if you found out too early?
What your job was?
Uh-huh.
No, because no, I don't think so. Because an experience isn't less or more just because it's not the same experience as somebody else. An experience is an experience.
I'm saying a lot of times you get a very beautiful experience simply just because you don't know. Because if you did know, you wouldn't have opened you might not have opened yourself up to the experience because of the possibility it wasn't positive. But a lot of times in life, we need very traumatic or, negative situations to help us really see what that job is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I guess what I'm saying is that you can know your job. You don't have to be a fucking professional right away.
Okay.
The experience comes from learning and doing your job. Like if your job is to be a plumber, don't go fucking around on the computer. Like just stick with the fucking plumbing. Stick with the fucking plumbing, and then you'll be a good fucking plumber.
Right.
Through your experience. But if you spend your time doing other things, if you're a plumber and you're spending your time trying to go and fix somebody's internet, or you're trying to fix somebody's roof, or you're trying to fucking go out there and be a pool guy, which technically
or a doctor,
be a plumber or a fucking doctor, like
you're gonna get people hurt.
Yeah, you're gonna get people hurt, man. Mind your fucking business. Go be a plumber.
Yeah. Well, this is well, actually I've heard this on late night televangelists talking about this stuff, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful idea. It's like, so human jobs, we've talked about this a little bit in earlier meetings, but grandmother comes over, hangs out with the baby. She's not going to write a bill, right? That would be fucked up. But other jobs, people, you got to pay for it. If you go to the doctor, you got to pay for your heart surgery. If you go to the masseuse, you're paying for that. Person who's going to deliver the baby, you're paying for it, right? Something, and that's weird. But this idea of you can actually get a job that is not based in the human realm. I think that's what you're saying, a transcendent job. Because it's like, look, man, if you actually met God's plumber, because we hierarchize jobs here, right? Yeah, but if you met the plumber for the infinite outflow, if you met anyone who directly worked, you'd much rather talk to that fucking plumber than the president, a king. You know what I mean? Just the lowest fucking, there's a street sweeper in front of whatever the palace of the divine was. So that's what I love about it is it's also that humans get confused because we think about our paychecks, and who could blame us? It's capitalism. We got to survive. We got to feed our kids. But if you think about the shit that how fucked up that is when you get obsessed with the paycheck and forget about all the other ways you're already being paid. Your body works. You can breathe. You can walk around. Mm-hmm. Your fucking kid is smiling at you. The sun is rising. Grass is growing. Everything's perfectly harmonized. Money, all the money in the world cannot make the sun rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
freely given every day. We're paid in that, but we're up in our heads thinking fuck, man, I got to figure out a way if I'm going to get that fucking payment for that house I want, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Maybe fucking Aaron needs to go back to work or something. You know what I mean? You start thinking crazy shit. You know what I mean? You forget, and then you go to humans. Then humans become God for you, and that's where the priest class starts. That's where idolatry starts, because now you're kissing somebody's ass, trying to get a little more dough. Now you know what I mean? And you lose the transcendent platform.
Yeah.
And you start worshiping people, because you think gold or money matters. Or is that's nothing. Yeah. And that's why the other thing I love about Christianity is it's that's what it's talking about. It's well, if you want to hang on to all your fucking gold, go ahead. But what are you going to, that's going to last how long? It's going to be around longer than you are because you're going to die.
You're going to fucking die. Yeah, man.
My favorite part of that story is every time he goes to do a miracle, he gets a little pissed off at the people because they're always like, "Oh God, if you were here 5 minutes ago, Susan wouldn't have died." He's like, "Oh my gosh, you do know you can do this too, right?" I don't have to be here. Wake up, please.
Yeah.
How much longer must I be with you? Yeah.
I think that's what's brilliant about Black Jesus on Adult Swim. You ever watch that?
I haven't seen it.
That show is fucking brilliant. Black Jesus is brilliant. You know, it brings up that very thing of like where they are literally explaining these stories in the Bible through, you know, telling it through the hood. You know what I mean? It's so good. Like,
Cool.
it's so good. He told a story. It was a story where he was going around trying to reach people through a fish taco truck that he had. So he's traveling around LA, and a young guy shows up, and he was like, "Hey man, you play football, right?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "So this is how it go. You got the ball and you running and you juking these fools and you going back and forth. Then all of a sudden, this fat, dirty lineman comes up and tries to tackle you. What you gonna do about it?" He was like, "I'm gonna keep running. What you talking about?" He's like, but that dude tried to tackle you, man. What you mean? You gonna just keep running? You gonna go out like that? You gonna be a little bitch?" He was like, "That's stupid. I'm trying to score." And he was like, "And that's what God is trying to get you to do. He's trying to get you to run that ball. He's trying to get you to go get that touchdown, score, celebrate. Don't worry about the people trying to take you down, trying to get you to fumble, trying to get the ball from you. You don't worry about those people. You keep running." Oh man, when I saw that, I was like, this show is dope.
Okay.
Hey,
So
man.
nice.
I love that show. I love that show.
I didn't know that. I gotta. Is this still on?
I don't think so, man. You know, Charlie Murphy died first, and then John Witherspoon died. So I don't know if they will bring that show back. Those were two super intricate parts of the show.
Man, I forgot Charlie Murphy died. I hate that. Like, you know, when you like forget a celebrity died, you just reminded me that fucking sucks. I can't believe he died.
He was so so genuine. Like, you know, I don't know how to explain like watching him. You know, it was just like it was. He truly found how to like be yourself on camera. You know, you could put that in any character that he did, which was brilliant. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't a trained actor or anything. He's just like.
Right. He just
go out here and do this shit. Funny. You know, he's so funny though.
Yo, I got to get out of here, man. Are we?
Absolutely.
Is someone recording? Is someone recording these? Is there a record of these? What's happening?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can. Look, we'll talk about it, man. I bet we could. I don't know. I feel like we could release, like, if we get enough of these, we could like have a podcast. It's a podcast.
We can do a 2 p.m. gospel.
Yeah. But we could, like, this is a podcast. I mean, we are literally doing it is a podcast that we're not releasing, but so now we're going to have this beautiful back catalog, which is so wonderful because once you get that, it's like, you know, you don't have to, you already have it. So you could like start releasing it, and we should talk about it, man. Like, it would be cool. Like, I know lots of people who do two podcasts. I know you have one coming out, but like, it's, you know, it's synergy. Anyway, look, this is a conversation for off the. Okay. Awesome. All right, look, man. Thanks. I love these. Thanks, y'all.
Love you guys.
See you, man. Good night.